listening to the Gettin' Salty Experience podcast.
And good evening, everybody. And how are you tonight, Leatherheads? We're back. The Gettin' Salty Experience podcast, the only one in the world that brings the Firehouse Kitchen Table to you. Self-proclaimed best podcast, fighter podcast in the world.
It's like four in a row that you did that. It's starting to stick with me.
I told you.
I like it.
I'm doing the OJ. I'm going to keep pushing it until everybody buys it. I think, in fact, OJ's still looking for his wife's killer somewhere because he's got himself convinced that he didn't do it.
This, OJ, the election, you know.
Yeah,
easy, Pete. Steady. Hold.
Listen. Take it
easy. This is the
Steady.
most secure election in history.
Yes.
Steady.
All right. We're back.
Night, safe.
We're back. And Coobs is 6 Tito's in. I just wanted to let you know. I picked
Just
my wife
the
up.
guest in the back room.
I just picked up my wife and kids from the airport. Took them out to dinner. Pounded down about 6 Tito's in record time. Came in, fell asleep on the couch with drool coming out of my mouth. And my wife's like, "Don't you have a podcast?" I'm like, "Oh."
Yeah, like 20 minutes from now, too. You're going to have that same look in your face.
Like this? Like this?
PD, help me out, PD.
I'm good. I'm fired up for tonight. We got a good guest on. We got to thank this guy, man, because we must have canceled on this guy 6 times, you know.
Terrible.
Pete's always going away. He's got this. He's got that. You know, he can't make the show. He's got a very busy life.
I would throw Pete right under the bus, too.
Yeah, you know, I'm playing golf every week.
Oh, shots fired. Look at that.
Either I'm golfing or hunting. So, you know,
it's
very hard
to... wow.
What's the matter with you, Coop? What are you doing?
Stirring it up a little bit. Stirring it up.
You got to do better than that.
Okay.
I like the cool collectedness, though. Ruffy's just like this. Yeah.
You guys are all pros at this, man. Being at the firehouse, I can't compete. You know.
Yeah. If we would have said that, if Coos would have said that to you, you would have been doing backflips. You would have been.
You ain't lying.
He ain't lying.
Oh shit, man.
All right, man. So, Pete, before we get started, why don't you give us the cheap, shameless, no shame in our game plugs?
All right, I'm sick.
Don't even say it. Just get out there and buy some shit and sign on and like and share it. All right.
You buy this.
Yeah.
Car.
Sign up on the god. If I got to tell you one more time to subscribe.
I put a space in the hood. I say you buy this car.
What's
all
the
right.
matter with you?
No. We're going to gettinsaltyapparel.com. You guys, you know the deal by now. You're going to gettinsaltyapparel.com to find all your favorite firefighter apparel and accessories. You get your t-shirts, your tumblers, your hats, your sweatshirts, and all the other items you need to give a wonderful to, let's say, a firefighter friend or family member, or just buy something cool that you dig, like the Old Ladies Box t-shirt, very big seller at the last show, or maybe, I don't know, which other one, because that's what men do. Everyone seems to like that one as well.
Brooklyn shirt.
You know what I mean? So
the Warriors, it's in print. The Warriors shirt's coming out.
The Warrior shirt is coming out. And guys, it's at gettinsaltyapparel.com. Also, guys, if you want to support us directly, hit us up in the super chat. It always helps us out. If you have a question that you have to absolutely have answered or ask, at least shoot us a little change in the super chat. We appreciate it. And last but not least, guys, remember always to hit the like, subscribe, and share button. How many times I got to tell you the show is free? Minkia, what are you going to do? You're going to sit here and not hit the like, subscribe, or share button? Come on, man.
I don't know what the.
Come on, man.
Yeah,
Come on, man.
What?
Wow.
Yeah.
He lit a fire under his ass. Now look at him all of a sudden.
Hit the like, subscribe, and share button.
Wow. Holy crap.
That's all I got to say. And
we got Nikki Coobs in the chat. We took him with us to the trade show, and Petey actually has a segment solely with Nikki Coobs, so that'll be coming out next week.
I can give out the title of the segment, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, top 5 things I learned from my dad.
Oh, I got 2 right off the bat.
Can you imagine what top 5 things are? By the way, thanks to the guys in the super chat. Thanks to already Fire Dave 111 and Paul Meyenberg. You guys are the best. Honestly, thank you very, very much. I really appreciate that. But yeah, we're ready to bring this hard charger in, and then
now Nikki can go to another semester at college. Thank you, fellas. I appreciate it.
No, you see that? We all got kids.
All right, let's bring him in. I love this guy. He's got one hell of a mustache. He might have the best mustache we've seen so far.
He's up in the top 3. He's in the top 3.
Definitely a good one. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep. Let's bring him in. From Memphis, Tennessee. Byways of Little. I think he's in Little Rock, Arkansas now, right? He moved to Little Rock, Arkansas. We'll get into that.
Kansas.
Kansas is Chief Donald Kuhn.
There he is.
What do you say, Chief?
Oh, man. Having a great day. You guys?
Yeah, man. I wasn't lying about that mustache, was I?
No.
You can ride a motorcycle with that thing.
That's a handlebar.
Yeah, I sold my motorcycle when I moved to Arkansas. So,
really?
Yeah.
You could eat some chicken wings and save that for tomorrow. Do you want
Super flavor saver.
Super flavor saver. I love it. Yeah, man. So look, when I talked to you for the first time, right? What did you tell me? You wanted to dismiss the myth that what? Guys from, do you remember what you said?
Oh, yeah. We just want to kind of dispel that myth that all guys south of the Mason-Dixon line are a bunch of redneck idiots.
Oh, my goodness.
So I'm either here going to disprove that or prove it.
It's a fine line.
Yeah, very fine.
That Mason-Dixon line is a very fine line.
There's only 2 places. I've been all over the South. There's only 2 places that I felt like I was like, what is going on here? One was Mississippi.
Holy crap. Oh, my God. Who's praying?
Yes.
He was just getting into a story, too. What was Mississippi?
That's going to be 4 minutes of my life I don't have to lose right there. Oh, great. Thank you. Jesus.
What happened?
One was Mississippi and one was West Virginia, for crying out loud.
Oh, man. That was the best 36 seconds I had.
What happened?
Oh no, I didn't. I don't know. Something weird happened. So actually, something that's never happened before. So I'm gonna have to give StreamYard a little.
What happened?
An email.
Cramped up
never happened before. You ran out of things to say. What?
Go home and get your fucking shine box.
Oh shit. All right. Let's concentrate.
We got a fellow Tennessean in there with you, Tankimus Prime.
Oh,
he's a Tennessee guy.
Where is it? I gotta find Tank's theme music. Hold on.
Don, he's like, what the hell did I say?
There you go.
Okay, wait.
You're playing like family reunion.
Wait, does Memphis have better barbecue than all the rest of the South? That's what we
want. Of course.
I was looking at one of the top things because I did some research on Don Kuhn that Memphis has one of the best barbecues in the country, bro.
It does.
Yep.
Absolutely.
I would say top 2.
Oh yeah. What's the first one?
Texas.
Really?
Texas got to be second.
What's your favorite place, Don? Where do you go?
In Memphis?
Yeah.
I like Corky's barbecue in Memphis, and of course the Rendezvous is world famous. But
Corky,
I just happen to like Corky.
Wow, I think that was Pete's nickname in high school, Corky. Remember that show? Man. Remember that show? The one kid was a retarded kid. Am I allowed to say that? His name was Corky. Right?
What?
That was Pete's nickname in high school. Corky. All right, let's get into it.
That is wrong.
And he did the wrong thing.
All right, enough. We could go all night ripping me, man. For crying out loud.
Let's dive right into Don because we got the pictures of his dad, so I don't even have to ask the question on how he got involved in the fire service. Your dad was a Memphis, Tennessee firefighter as well, right, Don?
Yeah. Dad did 28 years in Memphis. He retired as a captain at Station 40 there. This is when he was a driver. The picture you're looking at.
Which guy is he?
He drove engine 11 there in Midtown Memphis.
Which guy is he, Don?
He's second from right.
Okay. You don't got that stash that you got, man.
No. He, they had to be clean shaven in those days.
Back in
That was probably in the, late 50s.
Yeah, he got on to what, 19? I have it somewhere on my shit mess of.
I think in 50.
52 until 1980. Yep.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I didn't come on the job till I was 23 years old. I actually went to work for a Holiday Inn, which Memphis was the hub, home for Holiday Inn Incorporated at that time. And when I got out of high school, I went there and went through their entire innkeeper training program and all that. I got done with that. Hated it. And Dad gave me a call one day and said, well, they're going to hire some firemen. Would you be interested? And I said, yeah, I'll give it a shot. Best decision I ever made.
Oh, yeah. Did you go to the firehouse with your dad when you were a kid?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I say I was raised in the firehouse.
So how was that not on your radar? Like, how do you go like Holiday Inn, fire department, Holiday Inn?
Yeah, I don't know. You at that age, you're kind of rebellious.
Yeah.
You want to do your own thing and not, try to follow in his footsteps. Little did I know how foolish that was for me to think that. And, so anyway, that's how I ended up going to the fire service. Once I got through rookie school, got assigned to Snorkel 13. Loved it. Snorkel 13 was one of the busiest companies in the city at that time.
Right. All right. But first, you're gonna have to describe to us. But first, you know what, Pete? I was going to ask the chief. What's the word of the day, Pete?
I was going to ask the chief if they had a word of the day back in Snorkel 13, but apparently, we are the only ones who have that word of the day, and that word of the day is Elvis. Hey. Nice. All right, all you Alkies who are chasing me down for the word of the day.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Can now partake.
So now the chief has to explain to us what a snorkel is.
Yeah, what is a snorkel?
Oh man, well, that they have a bucket, like the tower ladders do, only they're on a boom, like a lift. So the bucket's on the end of the lift there. Snorkel 13 at that time was a 65-foot snorkel, and they got a new one and passed that one down to another company. They had a 75, and then later on, when I made driver and went to headquarters to drive the biggest snorkel, which was an 85-footer.
Okay. Do they still use them now, Don?
No, they've serviced out all of them now. They've gone to regular stick ladders and platform trucks.
All the big, I think Chicago had those too, right? Early on.
Yeah. All their squads were snorkel squads,
and they're all done with that too.
Two of the rescues in Memphis are in the snorkel squad apparatus.
Pete, can you find a picture of a snorkel?
So no,
yes.
None of the fire departments that you know of, do they still? Is that like a?
Oh yeah, they're still around. Still in use. I loved it.
Right,
because you could access some places where you couldn't reach with a stick ladder.
Right.
Especially up and over parapets, things like that.
I've seen them. I know what they look like.
Yeah.
So let's back up a little. You got on the job September 23rd, 1973. You were appointed.
Yes.
Correct.
That's right.
From 73 to 76, you went to Snorkel 13. And where was that? Holy macaroni.
Yeah, that's the 85-footer. That's what I drove downtown. It's that boom travel length is like 47 and a half feet. So it's pretty hard to maneuver around downtown.
Yeah, man. Holy cow.
Yeah.
So how did you guys ride? How many guys did you ride on the rig on that Snorkel?
4. We had an officer, driver, and 2 firefighters that rode the jump seats.
And what was their positions? How did you break it up in the Snorkel?
Well, the firefighter that rode on the officer's side, we call it the little ladder man. He and the officer did the inside work, and the outside team was the driver, and the private that rode behind him. They did all the ladder works, forceful entry, all that type of stuff.
Right. So they would take the roof, they would take opposite the fire, vent the outside, and the other guy and the officer would do the VES, right?
Yeah, force entry, for the engine guys, and then do the search inside.
Right. Were you in? Was 13 in with an engine? Was that a double house?
Oh yeah, engine 7. Yeah. All the houses in Memphis, for the most part. Well, let me say this: Memphis has 60 engines, and when I was there, they had 30 truck companies and 3 heavy rescues.
That's pretty big, man.
Yeah, it's a 2,000-man fire department.
That's fairly big. It's
a fairly big department, and certainly nothing like you guys are used to, but it's a big department, and so for the most part, they got half the houses were double houses, and then you had the houses that rode the rescues out of, the engine and the rescue company were both trained in special ops so that they could, backfill each other.
Oh, so the engine guys could work in the rescue and vice versa if they needed to?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Wow.
Huh. Don, the rescue today in Memphis, is that rig? Like a Snorkel?
2 of them are, and the third one is a.
Why would they I would think that would be like a ladder or something, a truck company.
Well, it kind of comes from back in the beginning, when they started the rescues, they were squads, is what they called them then, and they rode with 5 guys. And
Of course they were squads.
Well, they would come off as a manpower squad, and a lot of times they did RIT duties, and a lot of times they would come in the early days, back in the 70s, they would come off. They were required, those were the days we were transitioning from the old leather lung, no mask days into, so one of the requirements, if you were around on the squad, you had to come off with a mask on. So a lot of times we'd show up on a working fire, go in and take over the line from the guys that were in there choking and slinging snot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because
you over the line, finish putting the fire out, and say, okay, see ya, enjoy the overhaul. So, it helped to reinforce to a lot of guys that, we would come out, pull our mask off, and the rest of the guys who had been there without their masks were slinging snot in the yard and coughing and all that. So they saw that visual that, hey, these masks are not a bad thing. So I think that was good to help transition to actually show and demonstrate to the job that, these masks are good things and they're going to save us, some grief later on in life. So
I had a quick question, just not to interrupt you. When you first got on the job, was your old man was still on the job?
Yeah. Let's see. We were on the job together. We worked the same shift. He worked southeast Memphis, around the airport. I always worked midtown, downtown. So we were pretty far geographically apart. We only responded to 2 fires together. And one of them was a 2-story nightclub, and somebody pushed an air conditioner out, hit me with the air conditioner. So the only fire I got transported away from was
and he was there.
And he was there.
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
Swinging a miss, he struck him out.
There you go.
It's like that FDNY video we just saw.
That was weird, but yeah, we overlapped about 8 years, and then he retired out in was it 60 or 80? Excuse me, 1980.
What was he in the engine? Most of his
he was a truck guy, and then part of a new annexed area of Memphis. They built a new fire station 40, and he opened fire station 40. That's in the south part of Memphis, down behind the airport. So that's where he retired from, was engine 40. But he was back and forth, engine truck.
Right. Now, as opposed to the Snorkel, how did the truck respond? Same thing, an officer and 3 firefighters with the same basic, one.
The truck functions, or truck work. It's just some arrive in different style of apparatus. So, but their functions are the same,
Right.
All rear mounts, just the truck is just rear mount.
Well, they got mid mounts now, but as I came up, they had several tillered aerials and some mid mounts, and then they went to a lot of rear mounts, and so they're kind of swinging back the other way to mid mounts.
Now, what on let's say a phone call report of a fire, what are you getting on your box?
Okay, on a residential fire, they usually send 2 engines and 1 truck and battalion chief. If it's a worker, they get several calls. They may add an engine and truck on the initial, but on a commercial, they'll get 4 engines, 2 trucks, battalion chief, and maybe a division chief, depending on.
When do the rescues roll?
That they usually roll if they've got multiple calls coming in, and definitely on a working fire. First company on scene gets a working fire, rescues will go.
So you said there's 3 of them in Memphis now?
Right, that's all.
Right. And they're split up how? I guess geographically?
Right. They all, each one has about a third of the city.
And how do you get to go to a rescue? Is it you go for an interview? You do?
Yeah.
One of those?
As things were when I left, that, you had to have about at least 3 years on the job, as a firefighter. And then you go and take the training. Most of the guys who are on the rescues are also part of the task force because the training is parallel.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to get all the prerequisites, the tech level in hazmat, rope, trench, confined space. And then they take the collapse technician course. And then they're fully qualified to be on the rescue or on the task force.
Right. Do you have a dedicated hazmat, or does the rescue do the hazmat?
Rescues take care of the hazmat also. When I told you I went to the squad after I'd been on Snorkel about 3 years, that was the first fire squads in Memphis, and there were 6 of them at that time, and we responded with at least 5 guys. But our task was to take care of hazmat, because there were a lot of Memphis being a transportation hub, for the country. A lot of hazmat went through the city of Memphis, and we were having several incidents that, we didn't have guys with dedicated training for hazmat. So if you wanted to go to the squad and be one of those guys who got to go to tons of fires, you also had to do the hazmat mitigation.
So the 76, you went to squad 6 at station 11, right?
Right.
So
that's Midtown.
What type of apparatus did they have? What did they respond in?
It was an old Diamond Rio.
What is that?
No, it was an old civil defense truck that they converted to, it had a big box on the back of it, and an old, it was donated to Memphis Fire by the civil defense at that time.
So you guys would just bounce from fire to fire? That's all you would go on as fires?
It wouldn't be unusual for us to make, 10, 15 runs a day and, 3 or 4 workers.
Wow.
So, it was great. It was great for a young man like me at the time. I learned so much, and I was so blessed to be with, my officer was a Lieutenant Hilliard, Virgil Hilliard. One of the coolest guys you ever want to meet, absolute level head, no matter what. And, learn so much from him about keeping yourself together, when things are turning into crap, so that you can formulate a plan, and then bring a little order out of that chaos. So it helped me a lot, later in my career, working with Lieutenant Hilliard. He was an excellent officer. Excellent.
Nice. Those guys, you said the squad, they rode with 5 guys?
Yeah.
Now, do they respond as a truck or an engine or whatever the chief needed them for? How do they work?
That's right. Well, they responded as a manpower squad in those days. And whenever we got there, we check in with whoever had command. And, if he needed, RIT taken care of, we would do the RIT duties. If he needed additional line laid, or if he needed us to go take over a line from a company that was had already taken a beating inside, we'd go in and take over a line.
Right.
Just whatever the command needed, that's what we gave them.
So what was your best move for stealing a line? Knock the helmet off? Has it knocked out?
Yeah. Well, most of the time, of course, we followed Lieutenant Hilliard like a bunch of little ducklings, and it was always funny because he was tough guy, tough guy. And boy, when it really got bad, he'd take a knee and put his face piece on. So we would get inside, man, and it'd be, tough as hobo shit. And we'd get in there, and he'd finally take a knee and start to put that mask on. Everybody down the line.
Holy
like,
shit! Yeah.
If he's putting his mask on, you guys.
Yeah. So it was great, but no, if he got inside and we got to the line and he told the guy, we're command says for us to take this line, we're taking it. So
right.
Usually didn't get a lot of argument after that.
You didn't have to turn off any bottles or anything like that, right?
No, we've considered that several times, but no, it never was. It never was to that extent. But no, those were great years, though. Great learning curve for myself. I picked up so much. So many.
Now, did you guys have a war years like we did, like the '60s to the late 70s?
Yeah, I'm thinking it's pretty comparable to what you guys had. Downtown Memphis was. In a lot of disrepair, a lot of vacant buildings and all down there. And, we had several multi-alarm fires in the downtown area. But where I was stationed there at Station 11, we had everything. We had the downtown, which was, in our first response on a working fire. We had Midtown, where a lot of big Victorian style houses were. And on the north end, we had a lot of heavy industrial. On the south end, we had low-income ghetto areas, and so it, had a huge variety of things to learn from. So I was fortunate to be stationed where I was and work with some of the guys that taught me so much in those years that helped me later in my career.
Yeah, going fire to fire to fire didn't hurt either, right?
Yeah,
on the job training.
No, and I think it's a shame. I don't know. I think it's unfortunate that now the fire volume is not near.
I was just going to ask you that, Don. How is the city now?
No, and the city certainly has their share now because they're still a large metropolitan area. They cover 343 square miles within the city of Memphis. That's a pretty big area. Yeah. So, but it's just a sheer volume of workers, and fires are a little different now too. The types of construction they're putting in and some of the urban renewal stuff they had done downtown, some of the construction materials and all that, burn a whole lot faster than they did back in the day, where we could work them for hours, and kick them. But now, 30 minutes,
the smoke's a lot. You can't breathe that smoke in. You can't.
Yeah.
Huh. So, you know what? I want to just get back to for a second that I wrote a little note back here. You said 76, you went to the squad and they were doing hazmat, right?
Yeah.
Which is pretty fascinating because Broofy, like hazmat 1, I think they did
84.
84, right? But I know Rescue 4 was doing it before that, but I don't know how much prior to hazmat actually taking over did Rescue 4 do.
Well, the city was always a little late with a lot of stuff. When you really think about it.
Well, we had a very progressive guy. He was Captain Covington that worked in training. And in fact, when he left a job in Memphis, he went to the National Fire Academy and taught a lot of hazmat stuff. But he was very proactive in those days and was very instrumental in us forming these squads that would also take care of hazmat response. Because before that, we had very little formal training as far as hazmat mitigation. So
I don't think Rescue 4
was a good thing. I thought it was pretty progressive, for him to do that, and being a young enthusiastic guy, I said, man, here's an opportunity here. So I jumped on it right away.
Yeah. I was gonna say I don't think Rescue 4 predated 76 with the hazmat training.
I don't know.
Wow.
I'll bet you Chief Kleehouse might know that.
He probably would.
Ring, 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 ring. Chief Kleehouse, are you on the air?
Soon to be guest, Chief Kleehouse.
Yes. All right, so then at 79, you get promoted to driver, which means and you go back to Snorkel 1 now at headquarters Station 5. Snorkel 1 being the rescue, or Snorkel 1 just being the snorkel truck type of thing?
It was a snorkel truck. Yeah, it was a truck company. And headquarters is right on the river. You can go in the back parking lot of the fire station and look over the river into Arkansas. But it was definitely downtown company at the corner of Front Street and Union Avenue, which is one of the main streets traveling east from the river. Yeah, it was a fairly busy company. It's probably the slowest company that I ever worked on. But when they decided to move the Snorkel down to Station 1, which is directly across from St. Jude Hospital on the north end of downtown, things picked up considerably for us there as Snorkel 2 because of all of the areas up on the north end of Memphis. Fire frequency was picked up a lot.
Right. When you became a driver, why couldn't you just drive at the squad? Why did you have to move to the Snorkel?
Was that your doing, or that's where they promote you to? Or?
Well, no, that I had no input in that whatsoever. But that Snorkel, I had an affinity for that thing. It just. I think I was pretty good at it. In fact, I got a temporary assignment to the training division to test drivers, when they were ready to qualify to drive. That I was the guy that did the testing for those guys. I didn't have that much time on the job, but I was very good on the Snorkel. So because of that, that's probably why I got sent out. Snorkel 1.
So you drove that thing like you stole it.
Absolutely.
Drive fast, take chances.
Yeah. I heard that somewhere. So then when they moved Snorkel 1, they moved to Station 1, they renamed it Snorkel 2. Why did they rename it Snorkel 2?
There was a 100-foot tillered aerial that was truck 2 that rode out of that house. So they, it would have caused a lot of confusion in the alarm division, about what truck do I send, so to save confusion, they renamed it Snorkel 2, and then they took that truck and moved it to the down into what they call the Whitehaven area, the far south end of the city, down on 3rd Street down south. So they created a new company, is what they did.
With Snorkel.
With that old truck.
Snorkel 2, they moved that truck and they created a new company.
Truck 2 down and made it truck 15 or something. I don't know.
Huh. So all the guys went there. They had the ability.
Yeah, the apparatus, the men that manned it and all, they left, and everybody that was on Snorkel 1 just changed locations to
when the engine did that.
To Snorkel 2's house.
Any of the guys stay or given the chance to stay or the choice, or they all went?
No, they went. Everybody,
Right.
they all went.
Yep, you were like.
So Snorkel 2 ran out of the house with engine 1.
Yeah, Chief Kleehouse said Rescue Force started around the late 70s, early 80s with
about the same
Norbert
time.
Meehan. Yep, there's the captain. Yep, for the hazmat stuff.
See, I knew you can always count on him. You just got to dial him up the right way on the crank phone. Chief Kleehouse.
Want a friend.
Something like that. So then you go for it, and you gotta jump to the other side. You get promoted lieutenant.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was in 88. So he spent a good 7 years in Snorkel 1, which became Snorkel 2.
Yeah.
And you went to Truck 3 at Station 14.
Right.
So they a busy company, Truck 3, or?
Oh yes. That is in a low income area of Memphis, what we call South Memphis. Actually, where I grew up in South Memphis. But, so I went there. They were a hot company. It was a 100-foot aerial was the apparatus that we were on. So again, got a house full of great firefighters, good officers. Good learning experience. The cool thing that I discovered as a lieutenant is you have a lot of influence on your guys, on your company. Whether it's positive or negative, you have a lot of influence. So I was always one of those guys that liked to train and do stuff and learn new stuff. So I was always afraid that my guys would need to have a skill that I didn't teach them yet, that I knew about, and so I think a little bit out of that fear, we were always training. We trained a lot, and so after about a year there at Truck 3, they during those years, I on my own, I went outside of Memphis and got some training on ropes. I went to a fireman's convention in Nashville, and some of the Nashville guys put on a rappelling demonstration. I'd never seen it in my life, and I thought that was the coolest thing in the world. So I started going up there and learning from those guys, training with them, and then I took a rope technician course. So anyway, long story short, when I got back, we had some fires in high rises where we couldn't access some areas, so they decided it would be a good thing to have a high-rise rescue team. So because Snorkel 13 was there in Midtown and in the medical district, they decided to put the team there. So I moved back to Snorkel 13 as an officer this time, as part of the newly created high-rise rescue team. So we trained the engine and the truck guys on every shift in rope rescue,
including helicopter access.
Right. At that time, the Memphis police guys had a old Vietnam era Huey that they used, and so I went and got qualified as a helicopter rappel master. So myself and one of the TAC squad guys from the police taught all the helicopter rappel for Memphis Fire and for the TAC squads, the county tactical unit, and all that. So that helped me branch out a little bit and see that
So you were a guy.
Are. Yeah. So we had a lot of fun with that. We used to put on a lot of helicopter rappel demonstrations and things like that.
Holy shit, I'm out on that.
Yeah. No, it was so much fun. It was so much fun.
Screw that shit.
But
they didn't have a guy sitting out going, get some, get some.
You just don't lead them so much.
How do you kill women and children? You just don't lead them so much.
That's right. But,
ain't war hell?
Had a ball with that. So anyway, that's why I ended up going back to Snorkel 13. So I stayed there till I got promoted to district chief.
So, John, you know what I want to ask you? When you were the lieutenant there was no captain there, right? We talked about that in the pre-show.
No captain at all. No.
How many bosses were there at the time?
How many
lieutenants were there?
There's one for each apparatus.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
So when you're not working, who's
I was just going to say.
When I'm not working as a lieutenant?
Yeah, if there's only one lieutenant.
Yeah.
If you're not on shift, who's the boss?
Well, then they'll bring somebody who's taken the exam to be a lieutenant, bump him up in rank. We called it riding out of rank, and so he would ride in my place.
So that had to be
all the time.
Had to be somebody that was qualified on the apparatus that we were driving,
right?
And they had to have a grade on the lieutenant's test. So then they're eligible to ride
So you really were the guy. There's only one officer for the whole company for that's
well,
it.
well there's one officer on each company. Like there's one lieutenant on the truck, a lieutenant on the engine.
Yeah, we're not talking just for the shift. We're talking about, assigned to the company. You know what I mean? Like in the FDNY, there's one captain, 3 lieutenants, 25 guys assigned to each company. You only had one officer assigned to the whole house?
Yeah. Wow, per shift.
Crazy.
Per shift.
Yeah, that's what I mean. How many officers are assigned to the company? If there's no captain there, it's really one guy, huh? Holy shit.
Yeah. Well, one lieutenant per shift. So I guess it'd be a total of 3 then. If I'm following you, one for A shift, one B, one C shift.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So there's 4 lieutenants or 3 lieutenants, in each company
but
assigned to the company.
But no captain.
Right. That's what I mean.
Now, the guy who's got the most time, he's basically calling the shots in the firehouse.
Senior lieutenant calls the shots most of the time. Yeah.
Okay, so 3 lieutenants, no captain. Now we got it.
I like that.
Yeah.
Of course you would.
All right.
Chief Lafamine is probably going, that son of a bitch.
We're gonna talk about him too. So, you know what I wanted to say too? You had 15 years as a fireman before you became lieutenant, which I think is great. Plus, you were in busy places, right? And
yeah. Well, that it seems to be a long time, but you know what? It gave me lots of preparation for when you move into a battalion chief position. You got to make decisions that are going to affect lives, and you can't make wise decisions if you don't have experience in doing the job that you're asking guys to do. Mm-hmm. So, I think that helped me tremendously in that respect. That the decisions that I made came from my experience, not from what I think they may be experiencing or I may be asking them to do. I wouldn't assign anybody to do anything I wouldn't have done myself. And the guys knew that. So, to have that sort of confidence from your guys is priceless.
That is the whole thing. If the guys believe in you, then they'll do anything for you, right? If they trust where you've been and how much time you have, right? I mean, those are the 2 things everybody wants to know anyway. So if you had both, you're gold. Right.
So I had I guess what I call street credibility.
Yeah, you go, no doubt.
You got street cred. You can get a lot more done that way. Also, if guys trust you, they're not going to be hesitant. They know that well, he wouldn't have asked me to do this if he wouldn't do it himself. So,
right.
That goes a long way toward you just having that street cred.
Yeah, but you know what the really important question is? Who's first due at Elvis's house?
Oh man, I think Station 29. In fact, they have Elvis's name on the side of their engine.
Nice.
They got Elvis Presley on the side of the engine, so that's pretty cool.
Don, did you ever meet the King?
I was just gonna say that, Ruffy.
In fact, I did. As a child, way back when. I worked at an ice cream joint there on Highway 51, which is called Elvis Presley Boulevard now.
Give me some vanilla. Thank you very much. Give me some vanilla. Thank you very much.
I'll take some peanut butter and I'll take a peanut butter banana. Thank you very much.
That's it. But anyway, he used to ride his motorcycle up, and
no shit.
Stay out in the parking lot and BS with the guys. So I thought that was really cool. And he always had a touch football game if he was in town out at his place at Graceland. And whoever wanted to come, you just come play. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Wow.
Pretty cool. It wasn't.
That is cool.
I never really thought about it, until, like after he's gone. And you think, wow, that's pretty neat.
I was going to say culturally, right? Like being from Memphis and Elvis being from, Memphis or being down there. How did that feel like when he passed away? Was that a palpable thing for you guys?
Oh, it was a big deal. Yeah, it was a big deal. In fact, when the word came out that day, I was driving around and so I tried to go down to Graceland, and you couldn't get within 5 miles of the place. It was just a total traffic jam,
Wow.
Just because,
Did the brothers respond to?
Yeah. Strange story. One of the guys who was on the ambulance ended up being a state representative. The other guy mysteriously died not long after that. So it's always been kind of a mystery surrounding all of that. But they stored that ambulance at Station 1 where I worked on Snorkel 2. So, of course, people would come by to see the ambulance, and take photos of it and all that.
Yeah.
So a fellow firefighter of mine, who shall remain unnamed, bought carpet, that looked like the same carpet in the floor, so we cut it up in little squares and we would secretly don't tell anybody I gave you this. This is some of the stuff.
That's going to be $20.
So, we made a few hundred people happy with a little 1 square of carpet.
Dude, that's classic. That's like taking like a little piece of sod off the Shea Stadium or something.
There you go.
Right? Yeah.
There you go.
It has a blade of grass from Yankee Stadium. Get out of here.
Yeah, whatever.
Or maybe taking the rig to Shea Stadium and grabbing a couple of seats. Allegedly. Just saying that might happen.
That's great.
Wow. First do at Graceland.
That's
Holy
crazy.
mackerel.
Yeah, that would be cool.
That's what he must have been heavy. That was when he was fat Elvis. Must have been a bitch to get him out of there.
Yeah, that was toward the end there,
Yeah.
You got
Yeah, it's too bad.
Wow. He
was very generous to Memphis. Did a lot of charity work, donated to a lot of charities there. So he's pretty well loved around Memphis.
Now that's Sun Studios. That's right. In downtown? That's
on Union Avenue there at Marshall.
It's really
still
cool
there.
when you go in there. You feel like you're in a moment in time.
Yeah, well, I mean, you got Elvis, B.B. King, Johnny Cash, Jerry Lee Lewis.
Yeah.
All those guys came from Sun Studios.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah.
That's the birth of rock and roll, I think, maybe. Just saying.
Well, they call it rockabilly.
Rockabilly. But you know what I want to talk about that I researched a little, because I'm not just a pretty face, the chief.
I've never guessed that.
They say that I was reading that you guys get at least, well, you did when you lived there, 6 tornadoes per year. Is that accurate?
Probably. Yeah. Most of them, fortunately, have kind of, skirted around Memphis, the actual city itself. But we had one hit downtown. We had damage to several buildings downtown.
Have you ever seen one?
Oh yeah. And
really?
Especially over here in Arkansas, they're pretty prevalent over here too.
Well, you got it. I always thought, like, if I see a tornado, I'm definitely shitting myself right there. There's no doubt about it, bro.
You would run like somebody we know. You would run.
Yeah, I would run like some guys run from fire. I would run.
I run from fire.
I would run from a tornado. Yes.
Where are you gonna run? You can't.
I don't know.
Well, there's one incident I remember in Memphis that I guess it was in the southeastern part of Memphis that hit a warehouse. Knocked a wall. Tilt-up construction type wall, knocked it over, trapped, I don't know, at least a dozen people under there.
Wow.
So we responded there. I think one of the pictures.
Don't we have pictures, Pete, of the tornado?
Of a tornado? Yeah. I have a collapse. I have a collapse. I don't have pictures of a tornado. I have a collapse.
Yeah, that was a result of a tornado.
Yeah, and there are no tornadoes. All right, wait, hold on. No. Now we're gonna go. Now we're going. No.
Tornado.
Now we're going.
Don't we have pictures?
Here's your tornado photo. Look at the whole fucking tornado in this pic, you fuck.
There you go.
Hey, wait, I want to know. How did I know that there was a picture of a tornado job in there? Because in the pre-show, Don says, that's when there was a tornado. So Pete writes,
look at the tornado in this photo.
God,
look
that's
all the
classic.
tornado happening. What does it say? Collapse.
Ruffy, were you there when he said, that collapsed from a tornado? Right?
Wow.
I'm not saying anything, bro.
And what an awesome illustrative photo to show what a tornado looks like with 3 firefighters.
You can show Chief Kuhn getting it done after a tornado.
Oh, there we go. There he is.
We had a huge EMS response. We had some of the task force members come out. We had the canines from the task force come out, help with the search. And we recovered, like 11 people live. We only had 2 fatalities out of a possible dozen.
Wow.
That's pretty,
And what was that from, Chief? A tornado?
result of a tornado.
Oh, it's a result of a tornado.
That is wrong.
And he did the wrong thing.
Pete,
Yeah,
I don't know how I knew that. It must have been ESP. I'm like this. Oh, Chief went through a tornado.
not Hurricane Elvis. It was.
he said Elvis, Pete.
Yeah.
I don't care. Here, you want a horn? There's your horn.
Chief, you see what happens?
Go home and get your fucking shine box.
I got on the ropes. I got on the ropes.
He's hanging. He's going to hang himself any second.
Yeah. If Chief said he went to a fire at a UFC tournament, people are like, oh, I got that picture here. Hold on a minute. The jiu-jitsu tournament? Oh, here it is. Here's the jiu-jitsu tournament fire right here.
Chief said there was a collapse. I didn't hear anything about a tornado.
Good,
Hey,
Pete.
Chief,
Calm.
as soon as they start explaining themselves, you got him. I got him.
Oh,
All right.
my God.
All right, so let's move on. And flash floods. We don't have any pictures of flash floods because I was in the pre-show. But you could talk about flash floods, Chief. Are those a problem over there as well?
Well, we had flood. The river does that just about every spring. It comes up, and we've had a few flood events there in Memphis. But a few fatalities. With our special ops guys, are also boat operators. So they.
That's when you got to get into swift water, right? You get the swift water
rescue. So if that's if there's an event that involves that, we put the guys to work.
Right. So 97, you get promoted to Battalion Chief, and you're assigned to Special Ops, Battalion 5. Looking here.
Yeah, that again, the sweet spot for me, because of my background and the training with the task force. So, Battalion 5 did all the special ops responses, including hazmat. So, it widened my territory to the whole city then, because, if it was that type of call, then we had to go.
Mm-hmm.
So it gave me opportunity to respond all over town.
Right. I got a question for you too, Chief. I was doing some more research.
Man, you're a researching dude.
I am a dude on a mission. So I want to talk about the fire that rains down in Memphis, the time that you had 2 simultaneous stirred alarms, because you are mentioned in this. Were you a chief in that? Were you a battalion chief?
I was division chief, Division 1 chief at that time, 3 bugle chief. It first started around 3 o'clock in the morning. By the way, that series of fires, known as the downtown fires in Memphis, was featured in Firehouse magazine, and they did a whole article.
Like that one.
By the way, Chief,
really
nothing good happens at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Right?
By the way,
No, nothing good.
But anyway, hey, I got called in from home, and it was about 3 o'clock in the morning. As I came by the rose window in front of one of the oldest churches in Memphis there, I look up and we got flames rolling in the rose window. So I knew we were in for a long night. So we set up incident command, and I actually passed command to a battalion chief and took over ops for that fire there. So we had the equivalent of a third alarm as far as apparatus and all that. This church had some huge beams, like 20 by 20 wooden beams that were rotten, and it was throwing up, big chunks of fire, over, and they were floating over. A wind storm came through it about the same time, blew embers over to another building on Court Street. So there were 3 buildings back to back to back. That started off with the church, and then it jumped over to Court Square. There was a 11-story building under renovation that was open from floor to the roof. There was a 21-story under renovation, and a 4-story mill type construction, an old department store, wide open also. They were back to back to back. eventually they all became involved. So
I think you're going to need a bigger boat.
Yeah, so I
Holy
passed
shit.
ops back on the church fire because it was starting to get knocked down. Even though we had made an effort and set up some aerial ladder to try to block a way to try to knock down some of those embers, it was a little too late, and it had set the roof on fire on the 11th story. And then when the tar melted, it dropped down an open shaft. When I came around from the church to the to Court Square, the 11th story was well involved, every floor. All the window frames were on fire on the 21-story building, and the mill type was catching on the rear.
21-story building, fully, like it ended up going fully involved. Like,
well, that the 11th story was fully involved. The 21-story, fortunately, was masonry construction. And what looked like fire in every window was the actual wood window frames that were burning around there. So they had some of the roofing material, it kind of stepped in a couple of times, and the roof was on fire. So we had to get lines up there, put the roof.
Holy shit. How many guys did you call for that? I mean, you had manpower there.
That was a 3-alarm in itself, plus some extra
Yeah,
calls.
each building had to be multiple alarms, right?
What I did with that, from a command standpoint is it's like eating a big pie. You got to cut it in pieces. So I took a battalion chief and put him in charge of the 11th story, put another one in charge of the 21st story, and another one in charge of the other building. So, and each one of them, I just told them, run this as your fire, and we'll get resources as we can. So, and then we call for what I called fire patrols even further south, to check for embers.
Embers. Yeah, we have those too, right?
Yeah. So we sent those downwind, and they found awnings and things like that on fire even further down south, and we were able to catch them in early stages, or it could have been a really
yippee-ki-yay.
Chief, how many guys are on, if you remember this, how many guys are on shift every on a tour? Like, what's the
490 some odd at that time? I told you when I was there we had 30 trucks. After I left, they gave up 10 truck companies, so now they have 20. Yeah, 10 truck. I almost fainted. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. But anyway, they gave that up. So, but at that time it took close to 500 to man a shift in Memphis. So that was a night we put a whole lot of them to work.
Yeah.
That's a lot of manpower going. 21 stories. That's a lot of manpower.
Yeah. So that church was built in 1826, man. So I don't feel so bad. I only burnt down the church that was about 100 years old, so I don't feel like that.
Patty Lee mentioned that. He said something about that.
I knew that dirty bastard would mention something.
They had some kind of meal service there the night before. One of them smelled smoke, and it's nothing. It's just cooking. So they ignored it, closed up the building, and then 3:00, it's well involved. Yeah,
no doubt.
Swing and a miss, he struck him out.
Yeah. So
anyway, that's probably one of the most memorable fires, I guess, in Memphis.
It's a pretty big one.
Yeah, it's a pretty big one.
Yep. I'll see you at the big one.
Yeah, that's
a big one. Yep, I'll see you at the church fire. You know what they said? You know what they said at the church fire, right, Roof?
Go ahead.
Holy smoke!
Hey!
All right, so let's fast forward. 97, promoted to battalion chief, and then 2000, you're promoted to division chief and assigned to Division 1.
Yeah. Division 1 is the west side of that lines the river, and we only have 2 divisions in Memphis. You got Division 1 and 2, and you almost slice the town in half. Going north and south. Division 1 has the west half. Division 2's got the east half, and west half is the busy half of the city. So there again, that's where I wanted to be.
In the busy part, no doubt.
Yeah.
and that's Division 1. And then let's see, I'm crossing this stuff. This guy's got a look at this timeline.
Chief, were you already doing the USAR stuff at that point?
Yeah. I'm trying to remember. I think it was around 95. We started. The decision was made by who was the director of fire at that time, Charlie Smith, that we were going to try to sponsor one of the task forces for FEMA. And at that time, they were adding some to the system. So, I got involved with training the guys initially for that, through the technical rescue side of it, and then with the collapse technician training, I got appointed. I don't know how the hell I did it, but I got appointed to the rescue working group for FEMA. And, he had guys, superstar guys like John O'Connell, Ray Downey, Dave Hammond, who's the engineer, still is the head engineer for the system for USAR. A lot of heavy hitters: Chase Sargent, Buddy Martinet, John Riglow. All these superstar guys that. I'm sitting around the table thinking, "What the hell am I doing here?" But I'm so incredibly blessed to have time with those guys, learn from them, and that's the group that wrote the training program for all the task forces, in the country. So we were able to put that together. I was the vice chair of the committee, or that. Rescue working group for a number of years. We wrote version 1, version 2, and version 3, and they asked me if I'd be interested in working on version 4. I said nope. I only had 3 in me, so they wrote version 4 after I said okay. I tapped out. So, but I was so lucky to work with some of those guys that I learned from. And Freddie Lafamina, that's where I met Freddie.
I was going to ask you, the Don father, the Godfather.
No, I love that guy. He's such a cool dude, He's the one who gave me your name. Forget about it. He gave me your name. That's how I got you. No kidding. What a guy.
He to be a great guy. He says, I got a guy here who wants to dispel the rumor that anybody south of the Mason-Dixon is retarded.
He was right.
Oh, shoot.
Right. Well,
what did the chief say in the pre-show? What did he say in the pre-show that we were laughing at? He said something about, what the heck did he say, Petey? He was... he said it's either one, one or the other. Fireman he was talking about.
The Lord, something for fools and firemen.
Fools and firemen. The Lord looks out for fools and firemen.
The Lord takes care of fools and firemen.
And I said I thought they were both the same.
And I added that fools, firemen, and drunkards.
Yeah. I know what you're talking. You're talking about one of my dad's saying, because he I always looked to him for advice as I was coming up, through the ranks and all that, and he said, look, just remember this: the higher the monkey climbs up the ladder, the more he shows his ass.
Hey,
nice.
So by the time you get to the top of the ladder, all you see is ass. So
everybody's looking to throw darts at you when you're up at the top, right?
You know who I'm going to tell that to? Chief Steve. He would love to hear that. My monkey climbs the more you see.
Chief, how old was your dad?
I'm sorry?
How old was your dad when he passed away? You were talking about
Dad
that.
was 97. He lived to be 97.
Whoa,
God bless him.
nice.
Wow.
And guys of his generation, they really didn't live that long after they retired. And so blessed to have him. He lived with me the last year and a half or so he was alive. We had fortunate to have some conversations we never would have had. He opened up about his time in World War II.
I was going to ask you if he was a World War II vet. Yeah.
Yeah. He served in the South Pacific in the Philippines, Guam, Tinian.
Philippines.
Bataan and some really tough places. Iwo Jima. So he told me about some of the stuff that he never talked about his whole life, and I can understand why they didn't want to talk about it. but
Man,
but I was so I feel so blessed that I was able to have that.
You had him a long time, man. That's good stuff. And he was sharp the whole way.
Yeah. Well, I lost a fireman friend, and when I came back home, he said, you're the strongest guy I know. I said, no, Dad. I said, you are the strongest guy I know. He said, no, but he said, I don't know how you do that. He said, I lost a friend in the war, and he said, we were really close. And man, I almost cried. I said, well, you never mentioned that. You never mentioned anything about that. He said, well, we were real close, and he was a good friend, and he got killed in the war. And he said, that really hurt me. And I said, my dad never would admit anything hurt him ever. So I thought that was pretty strong. So it's pretty interesting. But
that's a man's
he was always a source of strength, and he was a fun guy to be around. Quirky, but loved the job. And was so proud that I followed, and was able to take a couple more steps up the ladder than he was able to achieve when he was on the job. So he was very proud of that. And that's kind of neat.
Good stuff.
That's neat.
What was his name, Dan?
Gordon.
Gordon. Let's give one to Gordon right here, baby. Gordon.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Amen, brother.
Tom, we had some pictures
They don't build
of some people that you wanted to talk about, right? Was that I remember?
Yeah, a few. Yeah. I probably could have sent 20 or 30, but some of these guys are some of those pictures have meaning for me,
Well, who's this first and foremost?
Okay, that's Blake Gillum. That's my stepson, and I took him to his first working fire here at West Pulaski Fire Department. So, great day for me, great day for him.
Nice. Did you say, hold on to my coat, son? Just follow me in.
Well, I just, my advice was, reach out as far as you can reach. When it gets so damn hot, you can't stand it. Maybe you can find my boot.
That'll
be the back of my coat. Hang on, kid.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
There you go.
All right, now who's this gentleman in this photo right here?
He's a good kid. That's Jerry Genta. He's just retired recently from Salem, Massachusetts Fire Department. Great guy. Wealth of knowledge in USAR work. We've taught classes together. He was also somewhat involved with that rescue working group for FEMA. But this was at a class that I did up in Massachusetts. So he drove a few miles to come and just say hi. So great guy.
Nice, man.
What, you guys mustache shopping together or something over there?
Two for $1? What'd you get?
He wanted to give me a little example of what they should look like.
It's funny though.
He ain't got nothing on you, Don. No.
It's funny how different everyone's mustaches are, because his looks like they're coming out of his nostrils, but yours is like more of a handlebar. You know what I mean? It's
You got the Yosemite Sam going on over there.
yeah, he does.
That's it.
That darn rabbit.
That darn rabbit.
Oh my goodness! All right, let me blow that up a little. Who's this?
Yeah, that's Gary Ludwig, Chief Gary Ludwig, and myself. Gary, when I was operations chief in Memphis, he was deputy chief in charge of EMS services. So, we both took every opportunity to go to a working fire. If nothing else, just to say, we're here, guys. We're behind you. We support you. We're here to do whatever. But Gary is also a wealth of knowledge. Gary went on to be the chief of Champaign, or still is chief of Champaign, Illinois Fire Department, and former president of IFC.
Wow. Hey, Pete, go back to that other one with this other mustache guy. You know who you look like there, Don?
Who's that?
Let me tell you something.
Let me tell you something, brother. The Hulk Hogan right there.
When these 24-inch pythons get a hold of you, brother.
When I grab a hole in that line, nobody's getting it from me, I tell you. I'm pulling ceilings with the 24-inch pythons.
Hey, this is actually a cool photo right here. Why don't you tell the guys about this one?
Yeah, that's my helmet next to my dad's. And, it shows a couple of things. His is an old Carnes aluminum helmet, you know, that they had back in the day, you know, and that's when he was captain of Truck 16. And then, you know, my helmet, you know, obviously newer, you know, different generation helmet, you know, I just think it says a lot, just that visual there.
That's awesome. What, they make them paint their numbers on by themselves back in the day there, or what was going on there?
Hey man, that was back in the 50s, you know, I guess that may have.
Oh, no, look here, Chief Kuhn, the Godfather's in the chat.
Uh-oh.
Chief,
I want to thank you for getting Chief Don Kuhn on the show, and may your first son be a masculine son.
Now, Chief, I have a favor to ask of you. Can you please talk to Chief Kleehouse and get him on our show? Mamma mia, we've been wanting him on the show for a very long time. And Chief, we would kiss the ring any day to get him on the show. Oh my God.
Oh, you go.
That was a good one.
Chief left and he wrote that shit ain't funny.
He said that shit ain't funny. That shit ain't funny from but then he did give us the laugh, because that's how I know I'm not going to wake up with a horse's head in my bed. Oh my God. Oh my God. We got some more photos actually. Hold on here. There's another photo of you and a pal of yours. Who's this?
Oh, that's Dennis Macedo. He's a Massachusetts task force member. He and Tom Kinney worked together. Tom Kinney worked for Hyannis Fire on Rescue 1 there. Tom passed away shortly after he retired. It's been a couple of years ago, I guess, but drove up for the funeral there. Dennis and I teach a lot of classes together for Spec Rescue International. Just a great guy, good human being. But I wanted to mention Tom Kinney, known as TK up there in the Boston area. Just one hell of a fireman, one hell of a man. You know, tough to the end, fought cancer hard, but lost his battle. But Tom had a lot of influence on me as far as teaching style. You know, I don't know too many people who are any more knowledgeable than TK was. So a lot of respect there for both he and Dennis Macedo.
Nice, man.
Are you still teaching, Chief?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I travel. I just last month went down to the Guardian Center in Georgia, you know, taught some Seabirth Marines in structural collapse.
Oh, there he is.
So, yeah, I still get to travel and teach for Spec Rescue.
He's got his Hulkamania shirt on there.
Yeah, that's actually that's a Spec Rescue shirt. That was at a class that I taught in Fargo, North Dakota on structural collapse.
Nice. Hey, Jose's starting the Chief K Fund again.
Oh my God.
Chief Kleehouse on. We're gonna grease his palm. Hey, you're gonna go? Will you be in Indianapolis in August?
Right now, I don't have plans to. I'd love to go. I'm not going to say no right now. I'd like to. It just depends. I know Spec Rescue will have a booth there in their display area.
Spec Schmeck, come hang with us, man. We like ask Louie. We'll take you out to a nice dinner, big steak. You know, we'll throw a couple back.
You'll be able to fill your
hey,
face.
Man, you'll catch this fish anytime if you bait it with a steak, you know.
Yeah.
Actually, one more photo I wanted to ask you about. Actually,
Yeah, sure.
Kev wanted to know what tornado were you at when this was happening?
That was Hurricane Elvis.
Oh, Elvis! There you go. Nice, man.
When these pike nuts get a hold of you, brother.
And may I say, you look very fit there, sir.
Yeah, you know, back in the day, you know, I can remember a little bit in powerlifting, but that's been a long time.
Oh my
Definitely
God.
got to come see us at the booth. We have a good time.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Yeah,
I don't know. Some guys say, not me, but we drink heavily in the booth during the day. So.
Some guys also say they may be chilling their peanut butter whiskey from now on because that might be the way to go. Some guys.
I think we killed that whole thing of peanut butter.
That gives me chills just thinking about peanut butter whiskey.
Oh, yeah,
delicious.
Nothing good's coming out of that. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
You got to have fun in the booth is what I always say.
Yeah. Sounds like fun to me.
August 2nd, I think, Chief, that kicks off. So come on down. How far are you? You're in Arkansas. How far a drive is that for you?
Yeah, a few hours. Drive don't bother me any. I can do that.
I think that's a yes, Roof.
Chief, did you have any sons? I don't remember if we asked you that.
No, I had all girls.
3 daughters. So. I had that somewhere, but he's got stepsons, right?
You got to keep your socks on, Chief. That's what happens. You got to keep your socks on.
Yeah. Where's my paper? Where's my Chief Kuhn paper? Right. Oh, 3 children.
I got 2 girls too. I take my socks off.
Kelly, Mandy, and Ashley. We're going to give them a shout out, and 2 stepchildren, Blake and Maggie.
That's right.
You're one shy of the Brady Bunch. You're almost there.
Yeah. Hey, listen. I'm the luckiest guy in the world. I retired from Memphis in 2008, and my wife of 21 years passed away. And at that point, I was just done. So I kind of floundered a little while, and then suddenly Renee appears in my sights, and we've been together since, and got married in 2013.
There she is, and I think
clearly married up.
Yes, as we all did. I think I heard this when he met Renee. That was the Chief falling. He fell right from
No, I'm the luckiest guy in the world. She's
Amen, brother.
And just a great gal. I'm crazy about her. So I have a blessed life that I didn't expect to have. So
sometimes these things come out of a place you never, you don't think, right?
That is true.
You're going down the road, you don't know where it's going to take you. All of a sudden, you got this beautiful angel named Renee.
Yeah.
Right. Just brought your mirror there, and you're like, holy mackerel.
Yeah. Well, sometime along the line, I must have done something right. So,
I don't know. Maybe gone to a couple of 100 fires, saved some people, something like that. I don't know.
There you go.
Just saying.
Oh, man.
All right. So you moved to Little Rock in 2013. You met Renee, and you moved to Little Rock, Arkansas.
Yeah, because Renee worked for the Children's Hospital here in Little Rock. So,
right.
I didn't have anything holding me now to Memphis at that time. So, why not?
So you couldn't stay out of the business. Every time you think you're out, they bring you
you're back in.
Back in. They pulled you in.
No, you know what? We spend so much of our life in this service. It's hard for a guy like me to get out of harness. So, you accumulate this body of knowledge and skills and abilities that are worth passing on to the next generation, and maybe they can save a life with it. So that's what motivates me, and I can accomplish that through volunteering with West Pulaski and through traveling and teaching with Spec Rescue International. I get contact with a lot of guys in fire service that way, and stay relevant that way. So
right.
It's a good thing. So when I retired, I see guys retire, they sit on their butt, and in a few years they're gone. So I made a conscious decision that I'm going to burn out instead of rust out.
I like that. That could be an old tip of the day. Save that one for later.
So burn out instead of rust out.
So you go to, what is it, West Pulaski?
Yeah.
He don't walk in and say, "Hey, I want to be a volunteer firefighter." They make him deputy chief of the department. Is that he walks in and he goes, "Do you know who I am? Do you know who I am?" I'm Don Kuhn. Oh, Don Kuhn. Oh, you're
Don Corleone.
Let me tell you who the hell I am.
Get about it.
Hey, West Pulaski, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to be the division chief of your department.
Anyone got a problem with that? Look at that. He's had an accident and fell off of a ladder. You learned a little something from Chief LaFamina, you know. We do have some pictures actually from West Pulaski here, some fire photos at some actual fires.
Yeah, those are you can see that we failed to save anything but the lot there, but you know, but still in the game a little there.
Nice. Well, Jordan Morris in the chat is saying he's given us a lot of nuggets at Crystal Fire Department. We are neighbors to West Pulaski. Glad to have guys like Chief that care about our future. From Jordan Morris. Thanks, Jordan. Nice
Jordan.
comment.
Yeah, that's nice. Crystal, the fire department is one of the departments we respond with a lot. You know, a lot of pretty sharp guys there.
Sure.
Always glad to see them show
You can
up.
see the stash.
Dude, I was just gonna say.
Oh yeah,
through the smoke. I don't know if that's smoke going up, but you can see the stash.
Look at
okay.
that.
So
let me tell you something mean, Gene.
when I accepted the position of deputy chief for them, I said one rule: don't mess with the mustache.
Yeah, right.
Right on, man.
So first one burns my mustache off. Yeah.
It looks like the reflective bunker gear on his face for crying out loud.
I mean, that thing pops, man. That pops as white as your helmet, whiter than your helmet.
I love it.
Yeah. That helmet's been with me a lot of years, guys. You know, been through a lot of stuff. Got some stories, I guess.
You brought that helmet with you? That's the helmet you use over there now?
Oh yeah.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because he's got some kind of, I don't know what he's got over there, like some kind of
Fu Manchu.
No, the other guy's got the different helmet.
No, he's got a goatee. Oh,
Yeah.
a different helmet though.
I'm talking about the fruity helmet he's got on, whatever
Oh
that is.
boy!
right.
Oh, we did it good this time.
I
Oh
did
yeah.
it.
He got the old plastic helmet.
Ah, he's got a little plastic helmet. All right.
I like Chief's helmet. That's what I'm going with.
That's nice, bro. That whole thing there, the chops, the helmet. He's got a little bit of a cowboy bend on that thing. Love it.
Nice, brother.
You got all the picks, Pete? We're done with the picks.
Pretty much. I mean, I think there's maybe one more in here. Oh yeah, Champagne.
Yeah. I went up to do a little class on a little overview of special ops for the Champaign Fire Department. Yeah, that's me standing in the middle there, but that's where Gary Lovewood is now the fire chief.
I gotcha.
Bunch of great guys up there. You know, they do a good job.
And then there's this one more. You were giving a speech at your church.
Yeah. You know, I was one of the responders on 9/11 to the Pentagon, and you know, I had an opportunity there on 9/11 to show a few of the pictures from inside the Pentagon and kind of explain our deployment there.
Yeah.
The
Can
task force.
I ask you what that? Because we hear so much, especially on this show, about what the day at the towers was like, but we know 9/11 was much bigger than that.
Yeah.
You know, although obviously it really affected us. Really, it was really hard to deal with. Still is here in New York. But what was it like for you at the Pentagon?
Well, I think initially the biggest difference, we were doing the same thing that the guys were doing in New York, but because of security concerns, you know, they didn't allow any press there. They didn't allow any photographs to be taken. In fact, they threw up a 8-foot fence around there with barbed wire the day after we got there, or the day before we got there, which was, you know, 9/12. So, you know, not a lot of press, not a lot got out. You know, they eventually, after I think it was 12 years, they declassified all the photographs. You know, they told us we couldn't take any. Of course, you know what firemen do.
You do
Right.
what
Take pictures.
Yep.
So at that picture you just showed there, I was able to show some pictures, you know, to people in our church that, you know, knew very little about the Pentagon response and all that. But
what was the response like there for you guys?
you know, let me tell you, I'll give you a story about it, and it kind of sums up, you know, the whole thing is, we had been there a few days, you know, and we're making some recoveries of remains. And So, by that time, any politician or famous person that could get there would come through with a photo op, shaking hands outside, the building. And so I was, we were getting a little weary of that, and, because of the whole situation. So I was running the operation inside there, we were doing shoring and clearing debris, replacing columns. And so I relieved myself late to go to lunch that day. As I walked through our forward base of operations, there was a lady there and she was shaking hands. So I said, oh boy, here we go again. So, she stuck out her hand to me, and she said, I just want to thank you. And I said, oh, well, sure. Who are you? She said, well, my name is Mrs. So-and-so, Colonel so-and-so's was my husband, and you guys recovered his remains yesterday. Oh, wow. And I just wanted to thank you. And man, I just, I cried like a baby. She said, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. I said, no, you don't understand. You just validated every effort that we've put in to train and practice and learn how to do what we do here. And you've made that human connection now with what we're doing here to give you some closure, and that makes all of this worth it. All of those years of training, you validated all that. So, thank you. The emotional side of the response is something I didn't expect, and certainly got our share of it there. But what we do is good and valuable and worthwhile. It's worth all the blood, sweat, and tears we put into training to do what we do.
Absolutely.
So that was my unique story. I know everybody that responded there had one, something similar where you make that connection. So it validated all that. So that, caused me to rededicate to doing what we do and training guys to do what we do. And so I'm going to do that as long as I can do it.
And when you were on the scene, I'm assuming you were digging, but did you guys work with dogs as well? How was that?
Yeah. Every USAR team in the federal system has a canine component. We have a medical component that includes doctors. We have structural engineers we bring with us, and hazmat specialists, technical search specialists that have specialized equipment to peer into void spaces, and do help with the search that way. So we have several ways to approach, doing search and rescue in a collapsed environment. So, and in addition to the 4 rescue squads, there are 6-man rescue squads that we bring as a task force. So it's like 80 guys, and of course logistics guys.
How do they decide who goes where, Chief? Like, I know they dispatch guys to the Trade Center, they dispatch guys to the Pentagon. Who makes that decision on who goes where?
Well, let's just say we had an incident like the Pentagon. The closest 3 task forces geographically to that location will go immediately. And then they go to a rotation list. So there are teams, 28 teams across the United States to draw from, and they're on a rotation list. So they go to the list then, and, if they need more than 3 task forces, then they start assigning task forces from that list.
and much like the towers, I mean, was it a similar scene? Was it a solemn scene? What did it feel like on the ground?
Yeah, I don't know if you can see that picture behind me.
No, sir.
Oh, you can't see it. That was taken from a Black Hawk. It's a picture of the Pentagon, taken from a Black Hawk on the 12th, I think, that shows the collapse. What we call the slide, and then the way that the plane struck the Pentagon was it struck the computer center, where there were tons and tons of top secret documents there.
Oh God!
And the all the computers that are they're feeding all that information in and out, and they had battery backups there. and all those battery backups were lead acid batteries. So they were destroyed. So we're working in, a foot deep of battery acid, and everything under the kitchen sink water. So after a few days, our boots fell apart because the battery acid ate them up. So,
my goodness!
Wow.
Yeah, it was just
you never hear about,
Yeah.
I'm assuming
like
that's
that.
why we've never. I don't think. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think the public has ever seen photos of the plane, right? And it's probably because of the classified stuff that was.
Yeah, well, if I can make it to Indy, I'll bring them up and show you the biggest pieces that we found. Besides a section of the fuselage, were a section of landing gear and part of one of the engines that was maybe twice the size of a car motor, but obviously part of the jet engine. But you hear all these stories from these conspiracy theorists about it being a rocket and all that. I call bullcrap because we. I don't want to get graphic here, but we removed remains of passengers from what was left of the fuselage there.
Yeah. I'm glad you dispelled that bullshit.
Yeah, and definitely I know that we feel we find that we had agreed on several things, but one of the things we agreed on that if we came across a plane part, we'd segregate that, and there's a service corridor between the second and third rings that they placed a big open dumpster there, and we put all plane parts. We filled up a dumpster, one of those big roll-off dumpsters with plane parts.
Yeah.
Wow.
While during our search efforts, and then we ended up, cleaning all of it out down to the floor.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kev.
No, yeah, Pete.
I was going to say, are there instances of cancer from 9/11 at the Pentagon for guys like yourself, the same way there are from the WTC?
Yes, absolutely. The Droga Act, also applies to anyone that responded to the Pentagon or to
have you
plane crash
noticed
in Pennsylvania.
Have you had friends pass from that instance?
No, not yet.
Okay,
good.
Good.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Did they eventually recover all the bodies from the Pentagon and from the airplane?
Yes, or
I think he might have gotten jammed up there.
Was Ruffy jammed up?
No,
he's just very tired.
I'm just
I lost you for a minute there.
Oh, there you go. You're back. You're
back.
back.
I think well, it keeps going on in and out. But hey, we went there. We did everything we could do. We replaced all the columns. I think there was like 39 columns that we replaced in there with shoring, as well as multiple vertical shoring. The ceilings were 18 feet tall there, so we had to use 6-bys to do all the shoring. So it's pretty heavy work inside there, doing the shoring. And then once we replaced the column, then we could go through and search all the debris in between that and the next column, and then we replaced that one, and just keep working our way through. And
how long were you there for?
It's close to 2 weeks, I think.
Wow.
It jams up. It sounds like no time, but it seems like a lifetime when you're there.
Yeah, of course.
Doing that, we worked 24 hours straight first, and then broke down into 12-hour shifts. Kind of like they did in Florida down there. So and you had to arrive an hour before your shift to brief in and get up to speed on what they accomplished the shift before. Then you go to work, and then you debrief coming out another hour, and then by the time you get something to eat, you crash. It's sleep for 5-6 hours, and then go do it again.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
when you did all this, and you came to the end of your 2-week tour, what happens then? Does the military take over, like the Army Corps of Engineers? Is it a transition from you guys to them, or some other unit that can handle that?
Eventually, of course, that belongs to the Department of Defense, and One of the positive things, I guess, there are a lot of positive things I think that came out of that, but because they're part of the Department of Defense, we were able to hook into their supply chain, their logistics. And, if we asked for truckloads of 18-foot long 6x6s, they were there, and if we asked, when our boots fell apart, we got to have boots. Next morning, truckload of boots. So, their logistics is incredible. And the Red Cross was there taking care of us, and so was the Salvation Army.
Excellent.
Was there, earned all the respect in the world that I have to give for both of them. They took care of us like that. We were their own kids. And, that was a great thing that they did there.
There's one more thing I wanted to ask, because we never get to talk to anybody about the Pentagon response. So this is fascinating. In New York, we had such a community feeling around 9/11, and I think it was palpable across the country. Every time you saw a fire truck, you waved, and if you had a flag, you waved the flag at them. Everyone had a flag everywhere. Every time you saw a police officer, you thanked them. What a stark difference 20 years later. But insofar as how the community was with you guys, did you have that same thing going on there, or was it more cordoned off because it was the Pentagon?
Well, of course, the security concerns trump a lot of that. But when we were billeted at Annapolis, and we stayed in one of the gymnasiums there on cots. That was our, where we stayed on our off time. And along the interstate, busing from one point to the other, you'd see crowds of people there with their flags and waving and all that. And that was real heartening, to us, because, that's pretty sad duty, to do what we were doing. And to have those bright points in between all that was very, it was very supportive to us. And just like those folks from the Salvation Army and Red Cross, it was very supportive for us to have that. And, God bless them for what they do, because it's really valuable. And
how about your gear? You said your boots were melting off your feet. Did you guys get gear replaced by your department, by the?
No, DOD did that. No, DOD did that. We wear those heavy leather USAR boots, and but they showed up. When they started falling apart, we couldn't figure it out at first, but then EPA, everybody that has initials from the federal government showed up. So when EPA gets there, they started checking everything and checking the water, and there was real high acid content. So that's what it ate all the stitching out of our boots. So, once we passed that up to the chain of command, next morning they show up with the same boots that we were wearing.
And if you don't mind me asking again, just completely fascinated by this. How many people did you wind up recovering? Do you know?
I don't have any idea. No,
man,
a lot. It was, that they assigned the old guard. The old guard guys who guard the tomb of the unknown soldier. They assigned them to us, for manpower. And every time that we discovered human remains, we'd notify them. FBI would come in, GPS location. And then the old guard would come in and actually do the bagging and transporting out of the Pentagon, as sort of an honor guard thing. So, our main function was to shore the building, keep it from falling. And there was a high probability that it would have had an additional collapse if we hadn't done what we did.
Wow. Wow.
And there were, don't let me mislead you. Tennessee Task Force 1 was not the only task force there. There were 4 federal task forces there doing what we did. But, our job was to go in and shore the building, do the search and rescue through the rubble recoveries. And or not recoveries, but to notify when we had locations, because they documented all of that to the nth degree, since it, frankly, FBI was the lead agency, because it was a crime scene until they proved different. So
absolutely.
So we had to kind of, in combination with what we were doing, treat it as a crime scene.
Well, it was also extremely confusing for everyone at the time. I mean, we didn't know much that was going on in those early days, and everyone was glued to the television set for any information.
Right.
And so I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Kingdom. It's a movie with Jamie Foxx where he plays an FBI agent. But in short, they work hand in hand with people who are clawing through rubble to determine the source of the blast. Was that similar for you?
Yeah, kind of that. But they weren't side by side. We went in and did our thing. When we did,
brought stuff to them.
No, we were there. Every top secret document we came across, we put that in a bucket, and if we came across human remains, then we notify the FBI on the radio. Then they come in with the old guard and do their thing. So,
by any chance, did you find out who killed JFK?
Yeah. How many people did they lose at the Pentagon?
Oh gosh, exact number I'm not sure. A little over 200, I think. 200. Yeah. You got to remember the outside walls of that thing were almost 3 feet thick.
Wow.
But they were unreinforced masonry. They had blast-proof windows, which proved not to be blast-proof. So the velocity it took, and the amount of power it took to blow the hole through there and then go through a couple of rings of the Pentagon is pretty powerful.
I'm looking right now at the first hit on the Pentagon Memorial. It says 125 people. Flight 77 was hijacked, crashed into the Pentagon, killing all 64 people on the plane and 125 people. Sorry, so you're right, sir. Of course, near 200 people in total. 125 plus 64 on the plane. Brutal, man. I really want to say thank you for sharing that. We've never heard this side of the story. Never.
Really?
And
well, there's more to it. There's more to it, and it would help if you had some of the pictures that I have to kind of give you what it was really like there. But
I think we just got another episode. I think we just got another episode back in the day.
We can do that. I'd love to do that. I've got some good pictures. I've got picture of the blueprint of the first floor there, where all the columns that we replaced shows where they were and how the plane trajectory went through the building and all that. So it may be interesting to some people.
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness! I mean, we hear obviously the towers. For us being New Yorkers, it's our home. And when they went down, that was like my home being attacked. But to hear the Pentagon too, we forget about that. We do. And we shouldn't. Especially hearing your story tonight. And I really thank you for telling us all that. That's massive.
Right.
Thank you. All right. Oof.
Excellent. Take a breath, Pete. Holy
take a big deep breath after that.
That was unbelievable. That was an unbelievable story. I'm gonna dive in on that one, Lou. Sorry, buddy. My producer had
just don't put me off 10 times next time. Okay.
I'll blame it on Pete. I told you.
Ouch. Blame it on me. Hey, is it about that time, Kev?
I believe so.
Guys, you know what time it is. It's time for the old school tip of the day. Take it away, Chief.
Okay. I thought about this a lot. Truth is, I don't know of a great fireman that got to be the way he was, or got to be great by himself. He was always taught by some great mentors, some great senior men that have a wealth of knowledge if you just take the time to listen and learn. So you know, I have to take a page from my own book, I think, in that always be a student of the craft. You know, always learn as much as you can from everybody that you can in the fire service, because there's so much to learn. You never learn it all, but you can learn a lot. So they can save you, the senior guy can save you a lot of misery. He can save you a lot of heartache. He can save you a lot of injury. Just listen to them and learn from them. So that's my old school tip of the day. The other thing is, one other thing would be, you know, one of Dad's old sayings was, "The man with a hammer, everything looks like a nail." So, you know, when you get into a position of or get into the upper ranks, you know, don't treat everybody like a nail. You know, treat them like a human being. Treat them like you want to be treated, and you'll get that back. But respect is hard to earn and easy to lose.
Nice.
Wow.
Wow.
Our guests have been hit.
Burnout, don't rust out.
That's right. Burn out, don't rust out.
Wow.
Very good, Chief. I like it.
Chief, thank you. Chief, it was worth the wait. Thank you very much. Sorry we had to put you off so many times, but I just wrote down now Pentagon show, so we'll be reaching out to you again. I promise we won't cancel on you this time.
We have to have you back.
Hey,
Just to
guys,
talk about that.
Before I go, I had to say this. I appreciate what you guys are doing for the fire service. You're bringing guys from across this great nation of ours to the kitchen table and having these conversations that are definitely worthwhile to you know, these folks that are out there listening. So please keep doing what you're doing. I have all the respect in the world for what you guys are doing. And I want to thank you personally for doing this for all of us out here who have things to learn from you.
Thank you, Chief. Yep.
Means a lot.
The pleasure is ours, especially mine, Chief. I've learned more about firefighting in the last year than I ever thought I'd learned in my whole life, man. So
good.
It's been an honor.
I think Peter might stay awake for the entire show this time, bro.
He was excited. He seemed excited. Finally.
Look at him shaking his head. I love him. I love you, Pete.
Well, we'll see how excited he is when we get him next week into the smokehouse.
Oh yeah,
that's right. Next week we'll go to the Rock. I forgot.
I mean, he could start running down, you know, Trevor Bridge. I don't know what he's going to do.
Lou's going to hold the camera because I'll be like this.
Somebody, yeah, definitely with your C4s or whatever. I don't know why the shots are not steady. I can't.
This is the earthquake simulator, Pete's in.
Oh my god!
All
right, we're going there.
You got any shout outs, Ruffy? What do you got?
I don't have anything tonight. No.
I got one sent in from Nigel Snowy Kind. Let me just find it here. Give me a second, Pete. Do you have anything, Peter?
I do. Actually, Gonzo in the chat, our boy, wanted to just give a little hat tip to the members who are working the Surfside collapse, especially his brothers who were there down in Florida. They did a lot of good work down there. So, hat tip to them. They're coming home. They've left the scene finally. That was another tragedy that could have been avoided. So hat tip to the brothers out there putting in the work.
All right. So I know I'm going to butcher this, but this came from Nigel across the pond. He was a guest of ours. He said, Kev, could we give the 5 bells to the 6 German firefighters killed in the line of duty in the floods which have devastated Germany last week?
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to really try these names, all right? Altina, Worldall, Nettersheim, Rheinbach. 1 active duty, 1 retired, North Rhine, Westphalia, and a female firefighter from Adnor near Nürburgring racetrack, Rhineland something. All right, that's what I got. So I'm going to give those guys the 5 bells. Line of duty death. Here we go. All across the world, it's all the same, brothers.
I'll tell you, I've been seeing that video. What's going on there with the floods? It's incredible.
Yeah, man.
Some hairy shit going on there.
Yeah, I've never seen anything like it either. It's really.
And just like we had Dennis Smith on, what did he say? No matter what's going on in the world, building collapses, floods, tornadoes, anything. What do you see? Firefighters. Because they're always there. They're always there. Chief Don Kuhn, thank you so much for being on the show. I really thoroughly enjoyed it. My face hurts from laughing, and my mind is fully stimulated from your stories. Excellent job, and we'd love to see you in Indy. Louis said carte blanche, whatever you want. Don Perignon, anything you want. Don Gettin Salty. I didn't say that.
Hey, thanks for having me on, guys. I truly appreciate it.
Stay in the chat, Chief. We're going to BS a little bit after Pete takes us out.
All right, let me take us out. Guys, get on over to iTunes Podcast, Spotify, or wherever fine audio podcasts are found to subscribe. And guess what? You can listen to us in your car now. We can be in your ear when you get your little earbuds in. We could be at the gym with you. We could be at your kitchen table while you're cooking. Subscribe there. It's free. Okay. And if you're here at youtube.com/Gettin Salty Experience, guys, please go on ahead and hit the subscribe button. Maybe hit the like button if you like it, and please share it with your friends if you do. It helps us out a lot, helps us get the word out onto the streets. Very important, guys. If you're on Instagram, hit us up at Salty Dog Inc. Mr. Refrano's got some salty fire photos for you. And guys, of course, we got GettinSaltyApparel.com, where you will find all of the coolest firefighter apparel, accessories, gear, so on and so forth. Last but not least, thanks to everyone who hit us up tonight in the super chat. You guys are really helping us out. If you're on Facebook, go over to the Gettin Salty fans page. We don't run it, but we love it. There's memes, there's sharing of information. There's a lot of fun and funny stuff there, guys. We really appreciate all the interaction. I think we're 16,000 or more now on there too. Growing strong. The page, actually YouTube's now past 17,000. So Come on, we're building here. We're almost there. Let's go. Let's get us to 100K. Come on. Also, guys, if you got a question for the show, gettinsaltyexperience@gmail.com. And if you have one for Cup of Joe and Fuego, coopspodcast@gmail.com. And that, my friend, that is all the news that is fit to print. By the way, if you want to laugh your asses off, watch the last Cup of Joe.
That was pretty funny. I watched it this morning.
I watched it today, too. I'm still laughing. It was great. Fantastic. Yeah. All right, man.
All right, boys and girls, we will see you Monday night. Until then, stay low and go.
All right, we'll see you at the big one, everybody. Have a good weekend.
See y'all, brothers.